Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Jam-packed show coming your way today. Can't wait to get in a whole bunch of stuff. I know the NBA playoffs are going on, but damn that. The city of New York has the best player in the draft, and the New York Jets have a quarterback. Those are the storylines I'm stealing from it. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks. No contracts, by the way, before I even get into anything. Let me also remind you, very, very important, y'all. Being a mom is like 1,000 little jobs all wrapped up into one. This Mother's Day. Show her your appreciation with 36 sorbet roses for just $36 from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon and enter code Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. Lots of stuff to get into, and let's just get right into it. For me, it's about New York. It's about Big Blue. It's about Gang Green. It's not about Baker Mayfield going number one, which was highly questionable, by the way. It's not about what the Cleveland Browns did in drafting Denzel Ward out of Ohio State because you needed a cornerback as opposed to grabbing the best player available, which was likely Bradley Chubb out of North Carolina State because of his ability to get to the passer. It ain't about Josh Allen and racially insensitive tweets. It's not about Josh Rosen and that damn mouth of his, which he needs to shut up. It's about the New York Giants and the New York Jets, and what this upcoming season means for both in light of what we witnessed take place in Dallas, Texas last night at the 2018 NFL Draft. The New York Jets have a quarterback. Now, you could sit up there and say, you know what? Drafted a quarterback, best quarterback in the draft, and selecting their first quarterback since Mark Sanchez, USC quarterback since Mark Sanchez. Listen, let me tell you something. Mark Sanchez doesn't deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence as Sam Darnold. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to knock him. I'm not going to destroy him, eviscerate him, or anything like that. But Sam Darnold, Mark Sanchez was never meant for New York the way Sam Darnold appears to be made. Mark Sanchez came to this city, and you could automatically see distractions. You know, the whole look and all of the ancillary things that were on the side didn't mean a damn thing, wasn't going to help you be a quarterback. Now, I really don't blame him that much because Rex Ryan was a defensive mind, didn't know what the hell he was doing on the offensive side of the ball, and practically admitted and coached like he didn't care. In the case of Todd Bowles, that's not going to be the case. And having Sam Darnold, a guy that can throw, that can make all the requisite throws, that has an NFL body, that has strength, that has durability, that has poise, that can make plays with his feet as well as with his arm, that doesn't appear to be fragile, mentally or physically. That's the guy that you needed in this city. And see, for me, I'm incredibly excited because in my mind, this is the first real quarterback. Real franchise caliber quarterback. I'm not talking about one-year wonders. Right, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm not talking about Josh McCown, who's 38 years of age. I'm not talking about Mark Sanchez having a decent year. I'm talking about a franchise quarterback. I'm talking about having a quarterback that you can look at and say, this brother could be here the next 15 years. That's what I'm talking about. And that, to me, is what the New York Jets just acquired. In Sam Darnold, they have that dude. And I couldn't be more excited and more happier for them. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about what I'm seeing. That's where I'm coming from with it. Sam Darnold is that guy. Now, does that mean you put him in there week one? Not necessarily. Josh McCown is here for a reason. He's 38 years of age, had a decent year last year, is experienced, and as a man has great character and wouldn't mind bringing Sam Darnold along and being that veteran catalyst that you need. So all of that's good. We've got no issue with Josh McCown, but that ain't the guy we expect to be seeing week 1 through 17. Oh, hell no. We want to see Sam Darnold up in there. And I know the fall off from 2016 to 2017, where he went from looking like a stud to looking a bit turnover prone. I get all of that. But Sam Darnold can play. This is what the aficionados say. And if that's what they say, and you know that you've never had that as the New York Jets, I'm sorry, change has arrived. According to everybody on the inside, this is the guy the Jets wanted all along. It wasn't Baker Mayfield. It was Sam Darnold. That's who they wanted. For all we know, when news was percolating that Baker Mayfield was the guy on the Jets' mind, the Jets probably put it out there so Cleveland, they'd be enticed to take Baker Mayfield instead of having him fall at 3. It seems as if Sam Darnold was the guy the Jets wanted all along. And when I talk to Todd Bowles, head coach for the New York Jets, later on this show, I'm looking forward to asking him about that. Jets have a quarterback. The Jets have a quarterback. And my God, did they need it. 888, say ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You just had to get this. I mean, when you look at Darnold, what else is there to say? This is the guy you had your eyes on. This is the guy that threw for over 4,000 yards last year. This is the guy that got outplayed by Josh Rosen when they went up against UCLA, even though USC beat him. But his arrival says a few things. Number one, he's the future. Number two, that means Christian Hackenberg and Bryce Petty are done. We'll see what McCown and Teddy Bridgewater, as far as I'm concerned, Teddy Bridgewater's done. Because Teddy Bridgewater was looking to land someplace where he can get an opportunity to compete. Hopefully his knee is fixed and he can really showcase his talent, skills, and abilities. I don't know if that happens now. Because I sincerely doubt Sam Darnold's going to be third string. And by halfway through the season, he may very well and should be first string. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the New York Jets do with this. But as interesting as that story is, and as happy as I am that they got Sam Darnold out of USC, nothing makes me happier than GM Dave Gettleman for the New York Giants passing on a potential franchise quarterback to get himself Saquon Barkley. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Eli Manning ain't retiring. And as bad as Eli Manning has looked from time to time, when you played most of your career in New York without the services of a potent offensive line or a running game, what the hell do you expect? I want to give Eli Manning the benefit of the doubt. I want to sit up there and look at him and say, you know something? I don't think he's been dealt a fair hand. When I think about Eli Manning, questionable. I mean, look, Eric Flowers is your left tackle. Come on, y'all. Come on now. What's the man supposed to do? You got no running game. And so what did you need to do? You need to go out there and get a stud, an elite player that has Hall of Fame written all over him. And in the process of having that available to him, guess what? Not only does Saquon Barkley run out of the backfield, he also he catches passes. Them dinks and dunks are going to work effectively with Eli Manning. And oh, by the way, if he's not doing that, then guess what he's going to be doing? He's going to be pass blocking and picking up blitzes to protect Eli Manning. So I don't blame Dave Gettleman one bit for sitting there and saying, we going all in now. We ain't trying to wait. We ain't trying to rebuild. We ain't trying to start with a new quarterback. We're not trying to ship Eli Manning out of here. We want to take the best player, who's a triple threat, by the way. And by virtue of being a triple threat, protecting the quarterback, catching passes, running the football, that also assists the offensive line. Then you've got Odell Beckham Jr. and Sterling Shepard as your wideout. You got Ingram as your tight end. Hell, if Dez want to play number 2, although I believe he should be looking to go to Green Bay, I'm not going to sniff at him if he wants to be a number 2, although I'm not so sure he's better than Sterling Shepard. But if you're Eli Manning, giving up on him? No, I don't think so. Eli Manning can still make the throws. The difference is you got to protect him. And he's been an Iron Man all these years as a quarterback. Matter of fact, he was just fine until Ben McAdoo's presence contaminated everything big that represents Big Blue. And so now you don't have to concern yourself with that anymore. You're the New York Jets. You're in a great position. This is something special. And I love it. You're the New York Giants. I love it. Make their offense more potent. Stop throwing the defense to the wolves. Give Landon Collins and the rest of the crew something to work with. Give Eli Manning, or Eli Apple rather, a reason to feel enthusiastic. He's been through a lot. Thank God his mother's feeling better and she's wonderful. And now he doesn't have to be distracted anymore between that and Ben McAdoo's coaching. And now he can get back to the business of being everything he's supposed to be. New head coach, new GM, new star running back, better offense. Listen, a legitimate argument can be made. Philadelphia Eagles are clearly the class of the NFC East, but what did Dallas really do to improve itself? This kid Van Der Esch with his ignorant self going to talk about we're Super Bowls, baby. Clearly excited. I'm only playing. I'm not being vicious with him. I'm just having fun with him. I'm a Dallas Cowboy hater. We all know that. And this dude talking about Super Bowls, and he wasn't even born probably when the last time the Dallas Cowboys captured a Super Bowl. Who the hell is he to bring up Super Bowl and the Dallas Cowboys in the same breath? The Washington Redskins, what do we really expect from them? Not much. We know this. So because of that, guess what? Why should we be concerned about them? A legitimate argument can be made that the Giants can end up being the second best team in the NFC East. You just never know. You just never know. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That's just a couple of storylines, and that all involves New York. Baker Mayfield being taken number one, I think was a huge risk. I like Baker Mayfield. I think he was a stud. That wouldn't have bothered me at all if the Jets grabbed him at number 3. But if you got the number 1 overall pick, particularly with the putrid, disgusting, delusional history that the Cleveland Browns have had at the quarterback position, having passed up on Donovan McNabb for Tim Couch, having passed up on Aaron Rodgers, having passed up on Big Ben Roethlisberger, having passed up on Drew Brees, having passed up on Carson Wentz, having passed up on Deshaun Watson, you would think they would go with the sure thing. And everybody and their grandmother said the closest thing to a sure thing at the quarterback position was Sam Darnold. Yet Cleveland passed. So they believe in Baker Mayfield. They're clearly going all in. Congratulations to them. I'm here to tell you, I hope that's not a mistake. I truly, truly hope that's not a mistake. I like Baker Mayfield. I want him to produce, but being undersized, 6 feet 5 and 8, 5 and 8, 5/8 inches, 5/8 of an inch. I don't know. I know he's thick, but I don't that height with that massive line, defensive lines of scrimmage coming at him, where it's difficult to see over some of these defenders. I don't know how that works out. We have to wait and see. So he's your first quarterback taken. Sam Darnold, your second quarterback taken. Josh Allen, all this news about, racially insensitive tweets when he was 14 or 15 years old, which I just think is just cruel. Just cruel. Subjecting him to that nonsense, making him have to deal with that the night before the draft. The night before the draft. This is done to this kid because of something he tweeted when he was a teenager. It's just reprehensible. It really, really is. But I'm happy to see that he landed on his feet and ended up landing with the Buffalo Bills, who moved up to the 7th spot to get him, because guess what? When you look at Buffalo, who switched from 12 to 7 with Tampa, think about what they say about Josh Allen. I mean, if you really, really think about it, he's the highest selected quarterback in Bills franchise history, surpassing even Jim Kelly, who was taken at number 14 overall in 1983. Josh Allen is big with a strong arm, can make all the requisite throws, etc. His accuracy, completing only 56% of his passes, is an issue. But he's considered the guy with the biggest upside. He'll be competing with A.J. McCarron for the starting job. A.J. McCarron will win that job because A.J. McCarron is pretty damn good. And I thought he would give Andy Dalton a run for his money if they had allowed him to. So he ain't losing the job this early to Josh Allen. That I can tell you. But in the same breath, Josh Allen did end up in the right spot. And I don't think anybody can deny that. The last quarterback of the top 4 taken was Josh Rosen out of UCLA, number 10 overall, and got the nerve to open his mouth. Do we have that sound of this guy opening his mouth, Josh Rosen? I mean, what the hell is wrong with him? I just thought it was stupid. It was absolutely idiotic for him to open his mouth and say what he said. Listen to Josh Rosen, a former star at UCLA, talk after being selected 10th overall by the Arizona Cardinals. Listen to this.
I was pretty pissed off. I fell. 1, 2, and 3 went by, and just kind of went into a blur after that. I was really angry. Teams were passing on me, and I was honestly expecting to get picked at some point and have to fake a smile and go up and pretend to be happy. But for some reason, when I got picked, all of that went away, and it just went to straight excitement and relief. And the biggest thing was definitely motivation. There were 9 mistakes made ahead of me, and I will make sure over the next decade or so that they will know that they made a mistake.
That's just stupid. That's just stupid. Y'all can call it confidence. Y'all can call it cockiness. Y'all can call it whatever it is. It's just stupid. Yes, the Oakland Raiders traded with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals moved up. Sam Bradford's health is questionable. Mike Glennon ain't no franchise quarterback. So they had to move up to get a quarterback. That's why they traded their first-round selection. Gave up one of its third-round picks and its fifth-round pick to the Oakland Raiders and John Gruden for the 10th overall pick. Just to get the quarterback they wanted. Fine. Got it. You're Josh Rosen. How are you insulted? Did you drop to 24 like Aaron Rodgers? Did you drop out of the first round completely? Were you a second and third round pick? No. 3 quarterbacks were picked before you. All of them were in the top 7. You were picked 10th overall, and here you are being all sensitive. And see, here's the thing for me, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't boxing or MMA where you get to get in a ring or the octagon and guess what? You get to fight man to man against somebody else and may the best man win. In football, you're a quarterback. You're standing in the pocket. You're a sacrificial lamb. Cat's going to come at you ready to knock you upside your damn head. And this is after you release the football. And by the way, don't act like that's not a big deal. Josh Rosen has had 2 concussions last year. 2. This guy he was in a world of trouble. I mean, what the hell are you thinking? You can talk all the smack you want. At the end of the day, these are grown men with bills to pay and families to take care of. And you walking in there like a puppy. You don't know a damn thing. And you talk about how you got a chip on your shoulder and you're going to make everybody else regret it. Well, how you going to do that if you're concussed? It's football, man. They don't like it and they don't play that mess. And you talking your smack is just flat out stupid. I'm not calling Josh Rosen stupid. I'm saying his comments were just stupid. Because that's how you're going to get yourself hurt. And you certainly don't want to do that. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Couple of other picks that I really like that took place. I like the Dolphins with Minka Fitzpatrick in the first round. I do. I like this kid, McClinchy. He's an offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. San Francisco needs that. You want to protect your $137.5 million investment in Jimmy Garoppolo. I had to like what the Indianapolis Colts did because Quentin Nelson was considered the premier guard by leaps and bounds in this NFL draft. And what you did was show that you're committed to protecting Andrew Luck because that's the only way the Colts are going to be relevant anyway. And, of course, Bradley Chubb going to Denver. I mean, Denver's clear, and John Elway clearly all in on Case Keenum. They went the defensive route, drafted this kid Bradley Chubb, who's a specialist in getting at the quarterback. So you're pairing him with Von Miller. Lord have mercy. That could be scary. No question about it. So that's something to consider. Just looking around, having said all of that, I mean, I just love what the New York Giants did. I really, really do. And I think arguably the steal of the first round was Sony Michel with the New England Patriots. That brother can run. He might be the second best running back in the NFL. I'm sorry, that entered the draft, rather, outside of Saquon Barkley. He might be that dude. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens here. Who did John Gruden get? Who's Colton Miller? Yeah, you need an offensive lineman. He's got a weakness at right tackle. You needed to address that. Pro Bowl left tackle Donald Penn will turn 35 on Friday. And Miller's a fourth-year junior who was the Bruins starter at right tackle in 2016 before moving to left tackle last season to protect Josh Rosen's blind side. So guess what? He can play both. And that's why John Gruden grabbed him. Makes sense to me. Definitely makes sense to me. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll be talking about the NFL draft. What surprised you? What pleased you most? What disappointed you? What ticked you off? Plus, we'll get into some NBA playoff action as well. Remember, Todd Bowles, head coach for the New York Jets, will be on with us in hour number 2. So we're definitely going to look at that. No way around that. We ain't avoiding that. And of course, we'll also have the great Bill Polian, executive extraordinaire, Hall of Fame executive. He'll be on the show with us right here with Stephen A. on ESPN.
I'm a one-trick pony, literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter when Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la, aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Always an honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line. A Hall of Famer as an executive, a Super Bowl champion as an executive, one of the renowned football minds the game has ever known, now an analyst on ESPN. Obviously, the great Bill Polian is on the line with us as we speak. What's up, sir? Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Stephen. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, buddy. Always great to talk to you. Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall to the Browns. 2-part question. Number 1, surprised that the Browns took him? And number 2, would you have?
No, not surprised that they took him. And number 2, there were probably a guy or two I would have gone for instead of him. But you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and that's part 1. And part 2 is that the Browns are privy to a great deal of information that has to do with character, background, psychological things of that nature, medical, that we're not privy to. So they had much more material and much more information with which to make the decision, and you know, they made the decision they had the conviction on, and God bless them. Go do it. But Marv Levy, who's my mentor, used to say it's not the decision that counts, it's what you do after you make it that counts. And that's the case here. So go make Baker Mayfield as good as he can be.
Bill Polian, Hall of Fame executive, now an analyst extraordinaire for ESPN. He'll be part of the coverage on ESPN Radio this evening. He's right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Bill, who did you have as the best quarterback in this draft?
Well, I didn't really have anybody as the best quarterback. I had them all in a clump. And I said all along that each one of them had a question mark regarding them. In Mayfield's case, it was his height. In Allen's case, it was his accuracy. In Josh Rosen's case, it was the injuries. And who am I forgetting?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. In his case, it was inexperience and the turnovers. So each had a hole in them, and then it was up to the clubs to determine who was the best fit. And a lot of it, of course, was determined by the draft lottery and the way that it went. Mayfield going first. Who knows who the Jets had number one on their board, but Darnold fell to them, and they pulled the trigger, and that's great. And then Buffalo moved up, and as most people expected they would. And they said they had one guy they were interested in, and that turned out to be Allen. So they made the right pick for them. And then I thought Steve Keim did a marvelous job realizing that Josh Rosen was falling and jumping in there and getting him. That was terrific draft management. And now we'll see how each of them fares in the NFL. The talking's over and the playing's beginning.
Bill, I'm looking at the New York Giants, and on one hand, you're thinking Saquon Barkley's the best player in the draft, the best talent in the draft in most folks' eyes. On the other hand, you're thinking about Eli Manning being 37 years of age, recognizing the importance of the quarterback position, and saying if you're Dave Gettleman, you've got to go to the route of a quarterback. But obviously he selected Saquon Barkley out of Penn State. How did you feel about that selection? How do you feel about him basically placing the faith in Eli Manning and now worrying about all of that chatter about needing to have a quarterback to replace him in the next couple of years?
I feel great about it. Dave's my friend. Eli's my friend. And I root for my friends. I grew up rooting for the Giants. I couldn't be happier. I think they got a guy in Saquon Barkley who's not only a great player but a great person with ties to the New York area. That's a bonus. But beyond that, he's going to do for their offense, which, by the way, other than the offensive line, is pretty darn talented now. Right. He's going to do for their offense what Zeke Elliott did for the Cowboy offense.
Expound on that, Bill. Tell us exactly what Saquon Barkley is going to do for this Giants offense.
Well, because now when you're a defender, Rex Ryan and I were talking about this yesterday, when you're a defensive coach, you say to yourself, who do I have to stop? Well, now I got to stop OBJ, and now I got to stop Saquon Barkley in two facets of the game. How do I do that? Well, if I got to put 8 in the box to stop Saquon Barkley, how do I cover those wide receivers on the outside, and how do I cover that tight end down the seam? It puts defenses in a bind, and the play-action game, which was non-existent in the Giant offense for the past 2 or 3 years, now comes into play. And here's what the play-action game does. Not only does it help you get the ball out, but it helps the offensive linemen because they're in a position now where they don't have to drop back and pass block all the time. You fake the ball to Saquon Barkley, guess what? The defenses has to react. So you got that. And then even better than Zeke, Saquon can be flanked. He's like Pittsburgh's guy. You can put him out in the slot. Put a linebacker on him. Good luck. They now have a multifaceted offense. They got a chess piece that they can deploy all over the place and cause problems for defenses, and that limits pass rush, which limits the exposure to the Giant offensive line, which, as we know, is their Achilles heel.
What move took place in last night's first round of the NFL draft that you liked the most?
Oh, I really liked the Steve Keim move. I also like Baltimore's move with Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar got really lucky in the sense that he went to exactly the right place, and that was probably a bit of a function of luck because I think that Philadelphia would have taken the running back from Georgia had he been there, but New England took him right in front of them, and they traded out immediately. And Baltimore came in, and so in terms of Lamar, he's going to a place where, number one, he's wanted. They gave up something pretty important, next year's 2, to get him. Number 2, he's with a coach, Barney Morningwig, who did a terrific job developing Michael Vick in Philadelphia after Michael's incarceration, bringing him back into football. Number 3, he's behind Joe Flacco, who has at least 3 more years on his contract, and so there will be no rush to get him in the lineup. And number 4, he doesn't even have to be the backup. RG3 can do that while they get Lamar ready. I'm sure they'll have a package for him. I'm sure he'll be dressed because with the ball in his hands, he and the Saquon Barkley are in a class by themselves. there's nobody else in this draft that is as good as those two guys with the ball in his hands, and I can't tell you which one's better, to be honest. So he landed in exactly the right place. If they could have picked a place, I don't think it could have been any better than Baltimore.
As we look at the draft and what our expectations are for guys that got drafted, Bill Polian, just when you look at the AFC and the NFC, who are the best, are the two best teams in each conference right now? Who's the best team? I know some people say the Patriots, obviously, but I'm looking at all the action that is taking place in the NFC conference. Who's the team to watch out for in both conferences? That's the better way to put that question.
Well, yeah, I think Philadelphia clearly is still the best team, but watch out for Minnesota if Cousins can play the way they hope he can play. And the most important thing with Minnesota is they've got Dalvin Cook coming back. So if he comes back the way he started the season last year, they're going to have a much improved and much more dynamic offense. So of course, they were in the championship game last year. New Orleans is one to watch. I think that the quarterback who's happiest today is Matt Ryan, because he now has Sweet Home Alabama, Calvin Ridley on one side and Julio on the other. Good luck trying to defend that. They'll go ahead.
What about the AFC? I mean, I thought New England did well for itself drafting Sony Michel out of Georgia. I'm also paying attention to what John Gruden did. I mean, they acquired Martavis Bryant. You already had Jordy Nelson, and you're pairing them with Amari Cooper. And you still got Derek Carr, obviously, and you're drafting an offensive lineman. What do you think about what John Gruden's doing in Oakland?
Yeah, I liked it. I think they're adding weapons. And veteran weapons, so he can come in and coach him. He doesn't have to babysit them. And the young tackle from UCLA, I think, has a chance to be pretty good. I don't know if he's ready to play right away, but he's got a chance to be pretty good. So that was a good pick for the future. And I think they're improved. Kansas City, I think it all depends. They're a good football team. It all depends on Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes is able to perform the way they hope he will, they'll be a pretty dynamic team.
Bill Polian, always appreciate your time, buddy. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All
Take
right,
care.
buddy. The one and only Bill Polian, Hall of Fame executive, analyst for ESPN. You'll hear him on our coverage tonight on ESPN Radio for round 2 and beyond of the NFL draft. Bill Polian, thanks again for your time. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You've heard what I've had to say. You've heard what Bill Polian had to say. You will hear what Todd Bowles has to say in hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show today. But not before I get to your calls in a minute. It's Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Baseball season is on the way. Tune in tomorrow night as Mike Trout and the Angels host Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees. Presented by Barbasol Razors. Coverage begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. To the phones we go before Todd Bowles, head coach for the New York Jets, come on the line. Let's go to Jermaine in Long Island. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Jermaine.
Hey, Stephen A. How you doing today?
I'm great. Talk to me.
Hey, I'm with you with the Giants thing. Real quick, I just want to touch on real quick before I get into the Giants is we spoke like a week and a half ago. I'm glad you finally seen Melo for what he is. As far as the Giants, right? I don't understand why these people – because last year, a lot of people had the Giants making the playoffs or possibly even being a Super Bowl contender, which meant we wouldn't have got one of these quarterbacks anyway. And one of our issues, they said, was running game, offensive line before the season, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the injuries happen. We got this pick, number 2. So now we address the offensive line. We're expecting our wide receivers to be healthy. And now we got a good running game.
So what's your question? So what's your point, man?
I'm saying is why are these people having issues with the pick? Like why are these people up and down the network having problems with the Giants picking Saquon Barkley?
I don't recall who had a problem with it.
Well, there's a couple of people on the network, and on the radio who's having a problem. They felt that the Giants should have took a quarterback.
Look at dear Abby being all emotional. What's the matter with you, Jermaine? So what? So what? A couple of people might feel that way, but for the most part, everybody knows that Saquon Barkley was the best talent in the draft, and the Giants made the right move. You buffer your running game, you buffer your passing game because he's a pass catch out of the backfield, and you have additional protection for Eli Manning behind a suspect offensive line.
But I'm thinking, everybody's putting Philly up there. I know Philly had a good year last year. Everything worked out. I think I'm looking at the Giants, and I'm saying we could take that crown as number one in that division, because even last year, even though
all right, now you're going too far. Now you're going too far. The Giants stunk up the joint too much last year for you to be running your mouth like that. I understand what you're saying, but the Giants are 3-13. Last time we saw them, they were 3-13. Pump the brakes. I'll talk to you another time, Jermaine, when I've got more time. But you need to pump the brakes on that. Stop it. Just stop it. Dan in New Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., what's up? I'm a Jets fan, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
I want to know about Sam Darnold. Everybody said he was the best quarterback in the draft. Browns were going to take him number one. That's what I heard all offseason. What happened? They went Baker Mayfield. Do they know something we don't?
The Browns?
You ever see Draft Day, Stephen A.? You ever see Draft Day?
The movie with Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. It was a great movie. He did a great job.
Did the Jets just draft Bo Callahan? Did his teammates not show up to his birthday party? What's going on with this guy, Sam Darnold?
I don't know. I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea whatsoever. I really, really don't know. But I do know this. A lot of people wanted him, and the Jets ended up getting him. And that's what we're going to go with for right now, Dan. Appreciate the call. Jose in New Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Jose, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Stephen A., my brother? Love the show.
Appreciate it. Go ahead, man.
Real quick, man. Yesterday I was at the draft, and I went to the stadium with all the Jets fans, and we're celebrating, and we were all in on Baker. And we knew the Browns might have took him at one, but we were set on Baker and Rosen. People made T-shirts and everything. I was part of that fan base that was like, Darnold's a dream. It's not going to happen. That's a dream. When they took Mayfield, I almost got on my knees and praised to God, like, oh, my God, how lucky did we get? We're going to land, because I knew the Giants were going to take Saquon. I said, we're going to land our quarterback, our guy, the pot of gold. How lucky are we? I thought we were lucky last year with Jamal Adams.
Listen, Jose, I got to run. I appreciate the call. I think the Jets are very lucky because I think that, Sam Darnold's upside. He's only had 2 years in college football. He's got an NFL body. He's got arm strength. He can use his wheels. He's got poise. He's just got to cut down on the turnovers because there's never an excuse for turnovers. Plain and simple. But I like it. I think this is a good day for the New York teams because the Giants and the Jets both got what they wanted and who they wanted in this upcoming draft. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'll talk to Todd Bowles about that in a minute as well. Head coach for the New York Jets. Up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio, coming at you as I love to do every weekday in the 250-plus markets across the United States of America, plus Sirius XM, Channel 80. The number to call up, as always, is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. By the way, when was the last time you checked your credit scores? Know what they are now, not from a year ago with Credit Karma. Credit Karma makes knowing your credit scores simpler and easier to understand. Learn more at creditkarma.com or download the Credit Karma app. That's Credit Karma, KARMA.com. My honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line as promised. He is the head coach for the New York Jets, who are smiling ear to ear right now and has a city, Gotham City, doing the same thing with the drafting of Sam Darnold out of USC. Coach Todd Bowles for the New York Jets is on with yours truly right now. What's going on, Coach? How are you, sir?
I'm good. Stephen, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to talk to you, especially on days like this. Put into perspective, put into words how good you're feeling right now.
Great. That's about the best I can put it. We were fortunate to have him fall to us, and we think we got a heck of a football player.
What's so special about this kid, Todd Bowles?
I think his competitive drive, number one. He's going to be his own person. I think he's great for the New York market because he will fight every tooth and nail. He wants to do the exact right things to win the ball game. How it looks doesn't matter. I think he has a old soul to be a 20-year-old. I think he puts in the work, and he'll be in the building every day to learn and get it right, and it's not going to faze him. Success does not scare him, and that's a very good thing to have in this market.
There's an obvious answer to this question because you have him now, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Was he always the number one quarterback on y'all list? You had everybody saying after 2016, this is the guy that the Jets needed to target. The Jets needed to stink up the joint the next season so we can ensure that we would get our hands on Sam Darnold. And lo and behold, you ended up getting him anyway, despite winning 5 games last season. Talk to and having the number 3 overall pick. Is this the guy that you guys have had your eyes on for the last couple of years or so?
Well, having the 3rd pick, you know you don't control your own destiny, so you got to have contingency plans in case somebody trades up or the first 2 quarterbacks are gone and you got to pick the other 2. So the list of where we had him, I probably won't divulge, but he was pretty high on our list.
Todd Bowles, head coach for the New York Jets, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. When you look at him, Coach, a lot of people were saying this about Sam Darnold. His poise is very surprising, but pleasantly. He's obviously has the arm strength. He can make any throw out there. Physically, he's built to be in the NFL, but he was a turnover machine last year. That's what they said about him. How concerned were you guys about him before you interviewed him and got to know him? How concerned were you about those turnovers that he committed at USC last season?
Well, we did our homework, and one thing we know, there's no excuse for turnovers. You make them regardless, and you can make an excuse and say they can be cured, but after talking to him and getting to know the guy and him pressing too much at times or trying to make a play and do certain things as part of his growth process, I think you have quite a few interceptions going into the league. I think when Deshaun Watson came out, he had quite a few interceptions in his career, but I think it makes you mentally tougher and you learn more lessons from when you make those type of mistakes, and I think he'll grow from it. I think he has the ability to grow from it. He has the mindset to work on it and get better, and those are some of the things we're going to work on with him to get him better.
Considering how happy you guys are to have him and how highly you thought of him, how surprised were you that he was available at number 3 last night?
We didn't know. You know, we started the mock drafts for 2 years or a year or so, had him number 1, going number 1. You didn't know. Then you started hearing all the rumors around draft day, so we were prepared for everything. But once Baker went number 1 and the Giants made their pick, we were pretty pleased and pleasantly surprised, and we were just happy to have him.
Todd Bowles, head coach for the New York Jets, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Now that these guys are gone, Baker Mayfield goes 1, Darnold goes number 3, Allen goes number 7, Rosen goes number 10. Where did you guys, could you tell me where you guys had the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft ranked?
We had them all ranked pretty evenly. Obviously, you can make a case for or against any one of them. Everybody has things to work on, but sometimes you got to go with the mindset of how people will fit not only on your team, but in the city and within the organization, and how you want to carry your team and have them go about things. And we thought that Sam fit us perfectly to a T, taking nothing away from the other guys because they probably would have fit well as well. But Sam, of all, had the personality that we thought embodied our city that we want to see.
What kind of personality does the quarterback in New York City need to have?
Well, you better be tough mentally, number 1. You better be tough mentally, and Sam is very tough mentally, and you can't have your feelings on your shoulder at the same time. You want to do everything and anything you can to win and make the team and the city proud, and I think Sam has that.
We're talking to Todd Bowles right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. As we look and dissect the New York Jets for the 2018 season that's about to unfold, talk to me about how you're feeling about this team overall, particularly now that you know you have your quarterback of the future. What's it like right now?
I mean, we're gathering pieces, and it's great to have Sam, and we're not finished yet. We have more pieces to get, but I think overall it's a great quarterback room. with Josh and Teddy. He got some experience, and we still have 2 young quarterbacks on the roster as well. But I think our team is shaping up pretty good as we keep adding pieces to turn this thing around. Sam's a great addition to that.
Todd Bowles, I look at this team right now, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, and I must admit I've got some concerns because I'm looking at it from the perspective that last year you guys ranked 24th overall, 28th in yards accumulated, 24th in the pass game, 19th in your rushing game, and you got a guy in McCown, who obviously has been around for a long time. He's 38 years of age. You're expecting him to sort of set the stage rather for Sam Darnold. But Teddy Bridgewater is here too, looking to have a future at the quarterback position. What are your expectations for those 2 guys, knowing that Sam Darnold is waiting in the wings to take the helm?
Well, the one thing about those guys is that they're great teachers, and they will teach Sam how to play, but at the same time, they're all competing for a job, and you got some heavy competition in that room, and it's a healthy competition, what you want and what you like, instead of just having a guy and just not having anybody behind them. You have a couple guys that's going to push each other to do better, and the experience of Teddy and Josh can only help Sam going forward, and Sam's a fast learner. He understands and he takes everything in, but the competition is great, and I think it's healthy for the team.
As I look at this team right now, and you know, healthy competition, you say it's healthy competition. Does that mean it's going to be an open competition for the job from day one, or is this going to be a situation where Teddy and Josh McCown will hold it down the fort for a few games until you believe that Sam Darnold is ready to take the helm? How does this work?
Well, I said before, Josh is going in spring practice as the number 1 quarterback, and once you get to training camp and the competition starts, you know, anything goes. It sees how Teddy performs. It sees how Sam performs. It's how Josh performs. It's everything. That doesn't mean you're going to start day 1 when the season starts, but you're going to camp. And you know you start in first team, but there is open competition, and I'm not going to rush Sam, but at the same time, we're not going to pull back the reins on him either. We're going to see how he learns and how he goes forward, along with the other 2 young guys, and when it gets close to the last preseason game, we'll have a decision and we'll make it.
Todd Bowles, head coach for the New York Jets, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Will Teddy Bridgewater be with the team come training camp?
Yeah, Teddy will be here.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I'm still wondering about that knee. That was a nasty knee injury. So I just wanted to make sure y'all expected him to be ready, for training camp. You know, what positions are you prioritizing these next 2 days for the NFL draft?
It's going to be tough because we don't pick until the 3rd round. You know, the 2nd round can go by, but we need help. We need some help. We can use another runner, another wide receiver, and some defensive line help if we can find some things like that in the draft that fall to us. But at the same time, it's always best position available, and if we have those things to make decisions for, we'll make them.
Todd Bowles, when you reflect back on last year, put into perspective how tough the year was for you guys and why specifically did you believe it was so tough last year?
Well, number 1, it's tough because you lose. You don't ever want to lose. Make no mistake about it. I don't care what the situation is. We're trying to win games here. Whether you're building, rebuilding, reloading, call it however you want to call it, I'm trying to win ball games. So that's number 1. It's not even about the situation. And we have guys that came together that were young, but you can win at a young age. It's okay. You don't have to go a year or 2 before you become successful. And we had to learn how to win, and we had to learn how to play together all over again. And I think we did that. And after the season, you know, you look back and guys are pissed off because we let some games get away in the 4th quarter that we can be better at, hopefully, going forward. And we got to hone in on the little things and have a focus that we cannot be defeated. And that's how we got to play and just stop respecting everybody to the degree where we blow some games in the 4th quarter and start taking the game instead of thinking they're going to come to us. And I think we understand that.
But what do you mean respecting guys, like respecting the opponents too much? I know you didn't use the word fear, and I'm certainly not trying to imply that.
It's not even respecting the opponent. It's just going into the game. There's a difference going into the game when you just know each other very well as a team, when you know you're going to win, as opposed to not sure about each other. And we had a lot of moving parts last year, so these guys were getting used to each other all year. But at the same time, we as a team, it's my job to galvanize them and put them around each other more and them to come together as a group that we felt. I thought last year was tough, wins and losses wise, but it was one of the most closest teams we've had since I've been here. And obviously you start over every year, but we're hoping that'll help us out a lot this year.
Your first year in 2015, you guys were 10-6. You clearly showed that you know what you're doing, but the last 2 years have been 5-11, and you talked about what your job is and what you have to do. When people talk about you in this day and age, they talk about these 5-11 seasons, and people have wondered what level of pressure, if any at all, do you feel to produce immediately because of, what people may say in terms of the team moving in a different direction or whatever the case may be. What would Coach Todd Bowles have to say about that?
Well, I don't feel any more pressure than I put on myself. It's a pressure job when you get into it. You know that walking in the door. I don't make any excuses about losing the ball game. I'm the head coach, and I want to win as much as the next person. I want to win for these guys. I want to win for the city. I want to win for our owner and everybody else. So that's pressure within itself. But at the same time, I have a job to do, and everybody else here has a job to do. And I'm confident in my ability, and I'm confident we can get this thing turned around and win ball games. In this day and age, with a guy like Sam Darnold, do you draft a quarterback because the upside is greater than all the other prospects, or do you draft a quarterback because they're the most ready-made quarterback for the NFL level now? What's the thinking in terms of picking a quarterback this high? I think it's different for every team. I think you have to pick the quarterback with the availability for the upside. If they're ready right now, that's great. If they're not ready right now, you have to see potential and ability in them to be ready at a certain point in time that they can grow from. Depending on what you have in your stable, you may need one ready to go right now in certain situations, or you may draft one and say, well, he will be ready to go, and you take all your draft analysis and come to your conclusion that he's going to be a pretty good quarterback, and you make the picks that way, but it's different for every team. Last question to you, Coach Todd Bowles, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What did Sam Darnold tell you about himself that you liked most, particularly as we get set for the 2018 season? As a quarterback for this franchise, what did he say to you that resonated with you most about himself? The big thing he expresses to me that he's very confident in himself. He's going to meet New York City head on. He's going to do whatever it takes to win and work his tail off. Plain and simple. Todd Bowles, congratulations. It looks like the New York Jets finally have a quarterback. As far as I'm concerned, you have guys that have performed sporadically throughout the years, but this franchise hasn't had a bona fide, consistent quarterback since the days of Richard Todd, for crying out loud. That's how good I'm feeling about this pick. I'm happy for you, Coach. I'm happy. Thanks, Steve. Take it easy, buddy. We'll talk soon. Coach Todd Bowles for the New York Jets right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call. That's 888-729-3776. He was laughing because he knows I said what he wouldn't say, what McCagnon wouldn't say, what no one with the Jets would say, but damn it, I'm going to say it. As far as I'm concerned, the Jets haven't had a relevant, consistent franchise quarterback since the days of Richard Todd. It's been that damn long. It's been that long. So about time, and I'm so glad that they got a quarterback in there. We all know we expect to see Sam Darnold this season. It ain't going to be 2019. It's going to be 2018. The young brother can play, and he's confident and he believes in himself. So it'll be real interesting to see how things unfold. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show. It was brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. So make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. It's also been brought to you by Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Download the free Vivid Seats app today to get your tickets. I love Todd Bowles, and I love talking to him and McCagnon as well. And we could sit up here and we could talk about the New York Jets, but really the Jets season is about when are we going to see Sam Darnold? That's basically what the Jets season is. Yeah, they played competitively last year. Nobody's going to deny that. They did do that. We can't deny that. We can't poo-poo that. We saw that from the New York Jets. And it would be unfair to act like we saw anything else. For the most part, they were competitive in most games. Okay? They really, really were. And we can't sit here and deny that reality. But the truth of the matter is, you were 5-11 last year. You were 5-11 last year,
pretty much with the same personnel you're going to have coming back now. Josh McCown is still going to be your quarterback, at least for the time being. And you just look at some of the other requisite weapons, and all you could think about is Robbie Anderson. That's basically it. There's nobody. I mean, listen, what do you want, Austin Severian Jenkins? You want me to say that? Is that what you want me to say? Jermaine Kearse, you want me to say that? They don't have a 1,000-yard receiver. They don't have a 1,000-yard rusher. So basically, when you look at the New York Jets, you're essentially going like this. Look, our season is about when are we going to see Sam Darnold? That's what our season is. When are we going to see Sam Darnold? That's it. There's nothing else to talk about here. We wish Todd Bowles and Mike McCagnon and those boys the best. It starts with a franchise quarterback, and I think they may have it. But I got to tell you something. And, John, when you get a chance, let's get Dave Gettleman on this show one of these days. I got to admit to you, I never liked what I saw Dave Gettleman do with Josh Norman. Just let him go. Let him go for nothing in Carolina. I never liked that. But I got to tell you something. Dave Gettleman's growing on me. I kind of like this man. His credentials cannot be questioned. It can't be questioned as an executive. It just can't. Okay? We know he can do the job. We know he knows what he's doing. And just because I think he made one mistake doesn't negate what he built in Carolina. He's player personnel guy here with the New York Giants. I mean, the man knows what he's doing. And when I see Saquon Barkley, I mean, if I'm Dave Gettleman, you know what I'm focusing on right now? I'm focusing on the offensive line. I'm trying to buffer the offensive line any way I can. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out a way to buffer that offensive line. Not to say that he hasn't already, but it's something that I'm going to continue to try. Because when I look at the New York Giants, that's what this comes down to. It really is. It's really about them. And if you get an offensive line that can protect Eli Manning, Lord have mercy. Now we're talking something. Now we're talking about something here. It's something that we all need to watch out for. Something that we all need to pay attention to. Because you get protection for Eli Manning, I still believe he can fling that football. I like what I'm seeing from these New York Giants. I like what I'm seeing from Dave Gettleman. He's no nonsense. He ain't having it. And Odell Beckham Jr. and everybody else better fall in line. We're trying to win football games. Eli Apple, you went through a lot last year. We know this. It's been well documented. But times are better now. You got to produce. You got to get back to reminding folks what kind of corner you are and what kind of corner you should be. It's just something worth thinking about is all I'm trying to say. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Ferris in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. What's going on, man? How are you?
Good afternoon, Stephen A. There's a good running back down in Miami named Mark Walton. Check him out. Check out his highlights.
Okay.
Looks like a beast.
I can do that.
And
I can do that.
Maybe the Jets could pick him up. But also, I wanted to ask you, you think the Knicks could get DeMarcus Cousins and Rondo next year?
No. Not DeMarcus Cousins, maybe Rondo, but not DeMarcus Cousins. What's your next question?
That was it. Thank you, Stephen A. Have a great day.
All right. I appreciate it. No problem at all. John in New York, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, what's up, Stephen A.? How you doing?
I'm good. Talk to me. What's up?
All right, so I first of all, I love the Saquon pick. Absolutely love it. I think the offense is going to be huge. Not going to say it too loud, but I would love for Des Bryant to hear this call, and I would love for him to try to get a deal with Dave Gettleman and try to make something happen because that offense would be prolific.
There's there's only but so many footballs. Des Bryant, you got to remember, he's out to prove something. He wants to remake a name for himself. Well, if you got Odell Beckham Jr. and Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard, how much room is there going to be for Des Bryant?
I think the hype between Bryant and Odell together, I think Bryant would be hyped just to play with him with Odell, and I think you add Barkley as a third option.
I'm sure he'll be hyped, but what does that translate into? Because again, the reality of the situation is clear. What do you have? I mean, if you got something to prove, okay, from a personal perspective, you're not going to be the number one option here in New York. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So where do you go from there? I think if Des is smart, if Des Bryant is smart, Des Bryant is doing everything he can to get to Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Des Bryant should want Aaron Rodgers throwing him that damn football. That's what he should want. That's what I believe. You got Sterling Shepard here. You got Odell Beckham Jr. here. Now you got Saquon Barkley here. You got Evan Ingram here. He was targeted 115 times last year. Nobody on the roster was targeted more than Evan Ingram for the New York Giants. What do you need Dez Bryant for? Answers my question.
Next. You're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. Whee! You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Back to the phones we go at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Let's go. Let's go for it. Ralph in New Jersey. Talk to me. You're live with Stephen A.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener. Finally, I get a chance to at least say something on air with you. I have a question about the draft. Now, I'm a diehard Giants fan. I'm not quite sold, and I'd rather have us go with a quarterback or go with an offensive line.
Here's my problem. Personally, time out. Here's my problem with what you're saying. If you said, I'd rather us have gone with Sam Darnold, I'm buying. My problem is you saying, I'm rather we had gone with a quarterback. So you had no one definitive. And if you have no one definitive and you got a stud like Saquon Barkley and you've witnessed the impact that Ezekiel Elliott has had on the Dallas Cowboys and their level of success when he's on the field of play with them, then I don't see how you can have a problem with Saquon Barkley being picked number 2 overall.
Well, in that respect, we don't have an offensive line that the Dallas Cowboys have. And Ezekiel definitely to show his talent with a good offensive line. I kind of feel like they went with that to try to stretch, I guess you could say, the life expectancy of the quarterback aging, Eli Manning. So he won't have to try to
that's not it. That's not it, Ralph. And I got to go. I appreciate the call. What they did was they looked at their prospects and they said there are no prospects that we believe are bona fide enough for us to justify throwing Eli to the Wolves when we've got a stud. When we've got a stud like Saquon Barkley. That's what they said. That's what you got to look at. All right? Appreciate the call. Jay in Denver, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A. I wanted to comment on the Broncos in the draft.
Go ahead.
I feel like we got a home run with Bradley Chubb. He's going to be a great fit with Von Miller. I was shocked that Cleveland passed him up with the 4th pick. What is your view with Denver this year, and do you think we can get back to the playoffs?
Well, I think you can get back to the playoffs if Case Keenum can ball. I still believe in Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. I still believe in John Elway. I still believe in that Denver Broncos defense. I know Aqib Talib is gone, but I believe in you guys. I think that last year, your miserable season was a product of your anemic offense because you didn't have a quarterback you could rely upon, whether it was Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch. You didn't have it. And that clearly is not going to be the case this year because John Elway has clearly made a decision that he wanted to move beyond those two by bringing Case Keenum aboard. So that's where he's at with it, and I'm cool with that. And I think that you do have a chance to make the playoffs, but Kansas City is the team to beat in your division, and Derek Carr has some making up to do after the struggling season he had last year after getting his money. We shall see. Appreciate the call. Nelson in Virginia, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. What's up, Nelson?
How you doing, Stephen A? Love the show.
Appreciate you. Go ahead.
I'm from New Orleans, and I love my New Orleans thing. But I absolutely did not love that we traded up like we did, gave up what we did to get Marcus Davenport. My question is, I'm asking for your opinion. Do you think we made the right move giving up what we did? Because I know nothing about the guy. He dominated at a small school. So I'm asking you.
Yeah, but you definitely needed an edge rusher. Obviously, they've been raving about what his abilities are. He's 6'6", 264 pounds, and he's a rusher from the edge. Okay? And he can be a true 4-3 defensive end. So when you look at it from that perspective, and it was obviously a big need, you clearly didn't need anything on offense. with the dynamic duo that you have at running back spot with Ingram and Kamara, with Michael Thomas and what he brings to the table. Ted Ginn has been no slouch, and you got Drew Brees throwing you the football. You don't have a problem on offense. Your issue is defense and being able to get at the quarterback. And this guy seems to be a specialist in that category. I have no problem with their pick. I have no problem at all.
All right, thank you, Stephen A.
Appreciate it. Mitch in Michigan, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. Mitch, are you there?
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Hi,
Live on the air, bro. We ain't got time to listen to you eating cereal or something. Get to your point.
Sure. What do you find was the most surprising draft pick last night for you?
The most surprising? Let me think about that for a second here. I mean, I would say Baker Mayfield at number 1, but Adam Schefter and them was reporting it hours before the draft, so I guess that wasn't that big of a surprise. Maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick with the Dolphins at number 11. Maybe. If I had to pick anything, it would be Baker Mayfield. It would be Baker Mayfield being number 1 overall with the question marks about him. Usually they don't take that chance. They don't do that kind of stuff. And by the way, the Chargers getting Derwin James out of Florida State. I love that pick, by the way, but go ahead.
Oh, and just hopefully the 29th quarterback for Cleveland's a charm. So
we'll see. Appreciate the call, man. Alan in Oregon, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
How you doing, Stephen A?
I'm all right. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to comment on the Seahawks pick. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about that pick? And also, how do you feel that when they did the Pete and John interview, how do you feel that they did for his that pick?
I don't know about the Pete and John interview. What I will tell you about is this. Rashad Penny, this running back out of San Diego State, you're Seattle. I know you're trying to fix your running game. I don't know. You see the bodies falling on the defensive side of the ball. Cam Chancellor's probably not going to be back. Earl Thomas wants out. Bobby Wagner, he's saying they're going to be all right. But, when you look at Richard Sherman's gone, Michael Bennett's gone, there's been so much turnover on the defensive side of the ball. I would have liked to have seen Seattle do something defensively because that's their mystique. I appreciate the fact that they're trying to get a running game to help Russell Wilson. They're clearly moving in a different direction. I'm just not so sure about what they're doing. But time will tell. We'll see. Appreciate the call. Dominic in Washington, D.C., you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Stephen A., what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. Go ahead real quick, brother.
Man, all right, I'm a Washington fan, so I know mediocrity, and I'm accustomed to it. I'm accustomed to seeing it. I'm not happy about it, but I'm accustomed to seeing it. And one thing I can say, man, Cleveland Browns never going to get it right. Just based off their draft picks, I can't say that I'm confident that they did what they were supposed to do. They could have got a stud running back and still got the same quarterback. And I understand that they needed to refortify their defense after letting a couple of good people go in the past couple of seasons, but. And I just think they could have done better. And
listen, you say they could have done better. You might have a point, but if Baker Mayfield is the stud we believe he could be, then that may not necessarily be the case. Number one. Number two, you drafted this cornerback out of Ohio State. Clearly, you drafted for need as opposed to drafting the very best player available at that slot. I personally thought the Cleveland Browns would go the direction of Bradley Chubb. But they didn't do that. I was kind of shocked by it. But I'm going to give them a chance because here's what we do know for a fact. When you're 0-16 last season, 1-31 in the last 2 years, there ain't a damn place to go but up. Can't get any worse. Can only get better. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That's the number to call into the Stephen A. Smith Show. This Mother's Day, show your appreciation with 36 sorbet roses for just $36 from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. We'll close out the show with your calls, but I got some stuff to say about the NBA playoffs. I haven't even touched on that. That's up next in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! I can't leave this show today forgetting about the NBA playoffs. I just can't. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night, and I got to admit, I'm excited. First of all, there's a game going on in Chocolate City, the nation's capital. Game 6, Toronto Raptors versus the Washington Wizards. I expect the Wizards to win this game. Before the series began, I picked Toronto to win this series in 7. In 7. I still think that's going to be the case. They're up 3-2 right now. Wizards took their foot off the gas and Toronto took advantage. And ultimately the Wizards lost game 6. They're going to be at home. They play better when they're at home instead of on the road. And I believe that is what it will be. That's what will happen. John Wall, Bradley Beal, and the crew will show up tonight. They're on a break of elimination. They don't want to lose in front of their hometown fans. They handle their business. It'll be a nail biter because Toronto is playing with house money. They'll show up, but in the end, I think the Wizards will win this game. They will force a game 7, and they will have to go back to Toronto for that, at which time they will lose. It's that simple. The other 2 games, what can I say? Think about the last time we saw LeBron just a couple of nights ago. First of all, that block of Oladipo, albeit goaltending, in real time, didn't look like goaltending at all. It was that close. The ball had barely touched the glass when he pinned it to the boards, and Oladipo thought it should have been a goaltending. LeBron and them obviously thought otherwise. In Cleveland, on your home court, you're not getting that call against LeBron James. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. And Oladipo wanted that goaltending. He didn't get it. But here's the reality. It really didn't matter. Because when LeBron James hit the 3 to win the game, it still would have beat that too. And that was an incredible, tremendous shot that he took and made at the top of the key. It was beautiful to see. A game winner, and LeBron James got it done and handled his business. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are up 3-2. Here's my personal belief, though. They need to close it out tonight. Don't play around. First of all, the rest of the guys that he's playing with right now can't be trusted. Offensively, they just don't get it done. J.R. Smith went 0 for 8 last game, 0 for 6 from 3-point range. All right? Tristan Thompson's a Kardashian now, basically, in everybody's eyes. He doesn't even get any run. And I like Tristan, but that's what they say about him. You look at the rest of the guys, they're not doing anything offensively other than Kyle Korver. You just can't take that chance against this Indiana Pacers team. You got to smell blood and take them out. That's what you have to do if you're LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's what you have to do. And I think he will do that because I think he knows better than anybody he needs the rest. Because the win of Toronto and Washington is next. And if that goes to 7 games, then that'll be additional rest for LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And God knows he needs it. The other game that's taking place tonight is OKC Game 6 in Utah. Now, normally I would sit up there and say, look, Utah's going to take care of them. They're going to close them out, whatever. But when you're up 25 points with 8:35 left in the third quarter, and before the quarter even ends, OKC comes back and ties the score because that ruthless competitor, Russell Westbrook, just takes control. What you going to do? What the hell are you going to do? The manner in which they lost, it's one of those games where they might have got their heart checked. But guess what? I believe in my rookie of the year, Donovan Mitchell. And I believe that he will show up and the team will show up in Utah on their home court to make amends for that collapse that we witnessed take place. And I think Utah will find a way to close it out and avoid a Game 7 in Oklahoma City. I originally had Oklahoma City winning this game, but looking at Utah and looking at the way OKC looks at times, if Russell Westbrook didn't get hot, I mean, it was 2-on-5 basketball. Russell Westbrook and Paul George doing everything. And I don't think that's going to work in Utah. So I've got Utah winning Game 6, closing out that series and going against Houston in the next round. I got Boston winning Game 7 Saturday night because they're at home, and I think they're a better team. It's just that the Greek Freak and Middleton have been doing their thing. Bledsoe has played better. Jabari Parker has played better for the last 3 games. First 2 games, they were both non-existent, but they played better the last 2 games. But I still think in Boston for Game 7, Boston should be able to pull out that win in that series. And then, of course, let me not forget the Pelicans, New Orleans, going up against Golden State Warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't give a damn about the matchup right now. What I care about is Kevin Durant versus Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday versus Klay Thompson. That's what interests me in this series. I want to see them up against one another. I want to witness that. I want to see what that's like. I want to see what they're going to do to each other. That's the encounter that I'm looking for. Steph Curry's warmed up to the team, practiced with the team. They say they're not ruling out him not coming back Saturday. I don't think he'll play Saturday. I think he may show up for game 2, though. I don't know if he'll be there for game 1, but I definitely think he'll be there for game 2. And if he's healthy, there's nothing to talk about. Warriors will win this in 6 games. If he's not healthy, you got yourself a different problem. It's lots of NBA action. I can't be more excited about it. Love it. I thought last year my season was ruined because of that damn Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. But turns out that is not the case. So I am good. Feeling good about it, too. Once again, tune in this Sunday night as Mike Trout and the Angels host Aaron Judge and the Yankees, presented by Firestone. Coverage on Sunday Night Baseball begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio, ESPNradio.com, and the ESPN app, and at 8 p.m. on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. Got a great weekend. Still got rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft and beyond. All weekend long, football will be on our minds, and we got these great NBA games. Whole bunch of stuff to get into, and I can't wait. I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to enjoy my damn weekend. Y'all make sure y'all do the same. Times are precious. Enjoy it as much as you possibly can. Until Monday, same bad time, same bad channel. This is the one and only Stephen A. Smith signing off. Until Monday, peace and love. Enjoy y'all weekend, everybody.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.